up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. D here, and today we're going to be talking about And Just Like That. So a couple of weeks ago I found this show randomly in my email for HBO Max, saying that there's this new show and it's like, I guess like a sequel to Sex and the City, same characters and everything. And I was excited. I wanted to know what it was about, and I made a video explaining the first 2 episodes that released that Thursday for their first opening. And I said I was going to do another review on how everything ended. If you do not know, I'm a huge fan of Sex and the City. I used to watch the original show from, like, I watch it religiously. I still have all 6 seasons, and I have HBO Maxes on there. And I'm in love with the show, so I'm so excited to find out how the season was. And honestly, guys, we have a lot to talk about. If you haven't heard anything already, and if you watch it for yourself, please comment down below. Let's talk about it. Again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss any other videos from me. There's a quick disclaimer. If you hear like a fan noise, I do have my fan on because it is scorching hot where I am. I have no control of the heat in my apartment, and they're just blasting the heat, and I'm like, without this fan I'm just sweating. So little disclaimer, but we have to talk about And Just Like That. Sheesh, there's just so much I need to say. I'm not gonna make a long video. I really hope I don't rant for too long, but it was a journey. It was a real journey. I tried to see other people's comments of it, and I got more negative comments than positive. I only found like one person that was like, oh my god, I love the show, and a lot of people that was like, yeah, it's awful. My personal opinion, it was, you know what, I don't want to start off the video in a negative way. I didn't even want to record this because, you know, I had a very stressful week. I know the week literally just started. It's only Tuesday, but for the past few days I've been tested a lot, and I want to bring in some positivity. So I'm gonna start off this video talking about what I like about the show, and then we can kind of talk about later why, you know, people were giving those negative reviews. So what I actually liked about the show, I don't know if I said this last time, but I said that I liked the concept because I feel like they had a lot of things to play with. In the original Sex and the City, we saw the girls in their like early to mid 30s, besides Samantha, and they're just seeing how their lives are, and then we kind of watched them grow. Like in the beginning, they were in early 30s to the movies. By the time it's like the season ended, like the whole series ended at Sex and the City, and now we were introduced to the movies, they're like in their 40s. And now with this And Just Like That, we can see how their life is in the 50s, them as wives, them as mothers, and them losing, you know, losing friends, losing their lovers, you know, just seeing how they grow in that next phase of their life. So I feel like they had a lot to play with, even with Samantha not being there. Like, yeah, she's iconic, but I feel like with Sex and the City, Samantha brought a lot, if not all, the sex. And with the show being And Just Like That, it's not really that sex based, I believe. So it's like, you know, Samantha, she did her time, but then it's like, how do they deal with like making new friends and losing old friends? And how do they deal with like a situation with Big, like he died? How do you deal with losing your soulmate, the love of your life? I feel like they had a lot to play with, but honestly the execution wasn't that great. I know I said I was gonna add this positive, but you know, I did like that part. But another thing I like is that they did have a lot of nostalgic moments. I think like one nostalgic moment, if you look at Carrie's apartment, you can see like the Sex and the City books. I like how they kept all the original characters, even that, you know, since Samantha's not there, because Kim Cattrall did not want to be a part of this, which I think that was smart. Since she didn't want to be a part of it, I like that they didn't bring in another actress to replace Samantha and still have her there. But you know, I like that they kept the original cast. Another thing that I liked that was a great scene was with Carrie's shoes when Big died. How she was wearing like basically their proposal shoes, and when she found them on the floor, she took them off and they were just getting destroyed in the water, which kind of symbolized like the end of their parent, you know, their story. You know, it had like symbolic moments like that. But other than that, I feel like they had a lot of fillers that just wasn't necessary, and it just wasn't executed really good. So now we could get into what I didn't like about the show. Oh man. Let's start off with characters. We can start off with Carrie. Carrie, man, I already explained how I felt about the whole Big dying thing. I didn't mind that they killed him off as a character, but it was just like what I explained it like in the last video. I felt like she let him die. He was still on the floor perfectly fine, and she just ran up and held him. Like there's no scene of her calling 911 and saying it's gonna be okay. She just held him and said nothing. He put his arm on her, but it's like he was still, you know, moving and breathing. If she had called paramedics in time, he could have lived. But you know, she didn't even try. And then, to tell you the truth, episode 2, I kind of just zoned out. It was like whatever. That's how I know I'm not really that interested, if I could zone out like that. Episode 2, I zoned out. It was around Big's funeral, and I did say that I liked how they had Samantha like send the flowers, and I'm gonna talk about that, right? But with Carrie, it was just like it sounded like she was kind of happy that Big was gone, because like she used his death, like she played the death card in the beginning, like for everything. Like it's an uncomfortable conversation. It's like, Big died. I don't need to talk about that. My husband's dead. Okay. And then it was just like, if she didn't want to be a part of something, it was like, well, Big died. Everything was Big died. Like she brought it up so much. It was like, are you proud? It was just annoying at the point. It's like, okay, we get it. But then, you know what? I actually saw something, like someone mentioned this point, and it made so much sense, because usually when somebody passes, like you want to be respectful. You don't really say, oh, they died. Like you want to say like, oh, you know, they passed. Like she could be like, you know, my husband passed, and you know, it's a sad moment for me, but you know, something like that. Like be respectful about it. She was just like, no, he's dead. That's it. He's gone. Like just death. Like very vulgar about it. And it was just like, God, Carrie. And I was just so annoyed with her. Like she took every opportunity to talk about her. Like she made everything about her. People won't even be talking about her. They'll be talking about their situation, and she'll be like, I won. No, your situation's not bad. I won. Big's dead. Okay, he died. Everything's worse for me. And then they just had little scenes where it's like they just kind of set it up where they could just purposely talk about Big's death. When she went to like this bodega, like this scene, like, okay, I understand she felt uncomfortable being in their apartment, because you understand the movie with this whole penthouse and everything falling apart, and how they found the perfect apartment for them later. And then she felt uncomfortable because it's like their place, he got it for them, and you know, it's their home and he's not a part of it. So I understand moving and going back. But when she went back to her own neighborhood, there's like this deli or bodega that we never seen her go to. The guy's calling her Caroline, and it's like, who the fuck is Caroline? And it was just weird, because it's like we never seen no interaction. So for him to be so friendly, and it's like we never saw him in the movies, we never saw him in the show, so it was just like, who is this guy? And then he just gave her, like, she just brought like, oh, he died, and then he just gave her free coffee, and it was like, oh, okay. I feel like it was pointless, because there was like no build up to that, but okay. You know, stuff like that, just like it kind of set it up like, well, Big died, you know. and everything was about her. Even like that moment that she had with Steve, she made that about her. Like, so Steve wanted to talk about Miranda, and we're gonna get all about Miranda, but Steve wanted to talk about Miranda, and he was really having like a heart-to-heart moment. Like, he was trying to be as transparent and really put his heart out there with Carrie, because he is going through a tragic time with Miranda. And then here goes Carrie, like, and him and Carrie having this conversation while they're painting. So here comes Carrie, who needs to paint in heels. Who the hell paints in heels? Like, come on. Then she makes a moment about stepping in the paint, and then she had to wear a big wedding ring while she's painting, a ring that does not fit. And then while she's washing the paint off her shoes, of course, she drops the ring down the drain. More things about Big and his death, and goodness. And then it was just another thing, like, with her and Seema. And the thing is, like, I like Seema as a character, because Seema, and then I feel bad what they did with Seema's character, because Seema, she comes as this powerful woman. Like, she reminds me of Samantha, you know, powerful, I got my shit together, and I'm good, but the only thing I can't have is a man. I have everything I want, but the one thing I just want the most, what I can't get, is a man. Of course, that has to be in her narrative. Here's another powerful, beautiful female who can't get a man, and that's all she could talk about. Even when Carrie went to see her family, all they talk about is a man. Why doesn't she have a man? Who's this pretend man that she made that her parents can't meet? It's like, poor Seema. I feel like they just made her like this powerful woman who's desperate, and then who's obsessed with like hanging out with Carrie. Like, there was a scene where she's literally making out with this guy, about to have sex, but then she was like, no, Carrie's on the phone, I can't have this moment with you because of Carrie. And it's like, come on, sis, Carrie could wait. Call back tomorrow, Carrie. Like, I'm not going nowhere. But, you know, Carrie just steals a scene, and then she's working in this podcast, which is, the podcast was so unnecessary. And then here's the thing, is that I didn't know people called in during a podcast, because there was a part when they were like, oh, do we have any phone calls? And they were like, nobody's calling at this time. And then it was just like, I thought people only call in like for radio shows, not for podcasts. I thought podcasts, you just record it and you upload. Like, I don't know how podcast works per se, but I didn't know you can call. People take calls during podcasts. I thought they just do that during live radio shows, but okay. And then at the end, with Che leaving the podcast, which was just so unnecessary. The characters were unnecessary. The whole podcast thing was unnecessary. She had her own podcast and she called it Sex and the City. But honestly, they should have had that from the beginning. They did not need Che. They did not need the Asian guy. I don't even know his name because wasn't that important to the story. They didn't need all of that. She could have just had her own podcast. Like, she's Carrie. Like, she has a book that she's popular for. She's popular for her columns called Sex and the City. She did not need the other two people. She could have had the podcast for her own. And they waited all the way to the last episode to introduce that. And it was like, that should have been in the first episode. Don't wait till the last. Like, that was a little weird, you know? And then they have Carrie going back on a date. You know, nobody wants to be alone. Like, I understand that she's going through... it's not even like a divorce. I feel like a death or being a widow, it's like, it's worse than a divorce, because it's like you still love the person, you just can't talk to them or reach out or really get that type of closure that you need. You just gotta accept the fact that they're gone. So I understand dating and getting back out there is hard, but then how they set up the date with them, like, I understand like the awkward interaction, but them like getting so drunk that they just throw up on each other was just unnecessary. It's really disgusting. Even Sex and the City, like the original show, would never be that type, like that crude like that. Like, yes, they had that one scene where Carrie like threw up at the beach after she saw Big with Natasha for the first time. but like they didn't even show it. So the way that they showed that scene, it was just vulgar. It was disgusting. You know, it wasn't like a fashion where everything has to be so fabulous, and like she wouldn't even throw up like that. So now we have Charlotte, and Charlotte, I don't like how her outfits are just all these poofy sleeves and how they just make her so preppy. Like, we understand Charlotte is preppy, but she's not that preppy all the time. Like no pants, like these huge like frilly skirts and weird oversized dresses. And so now she has her moment with her kids, where Lily's being an annoying teenager who wants to feel sexy, and we have Rose, who decides, you know what, I don't want to identify as anything. I don't want to be a boy. I don't want to be a girl. I don't want to be Rose. I want to be Rock, and I want to cut off all my hair, and I don't want to have my bat mitzvah. And it was just like, okay. I understand there's like a lot of kids who are going through, you know, I want to say like an identity crisis, but trying to figure out who they are. But then I feel like with the timeline, it's kind of weird. Like, I can't say that Rose is gay or anything, or non-binary, or really put a title on sexuality, because it's just like, if the timeline is supposed to be correct, this is supposed to be 10 years after the second movie. And if it's 10 years after the second movie, that would make Rose 12. Doubt you're having sex or anything at 12, so you don't know if you like guys or girls. You just don't know what you really want to identify as. And it's just like, okay, you know? But now gender being so fluid nowadays, I get it, I understand. But I feel like how it was approached with Anthony was a little bit weird, because it's like the way that Charlotte asked Anthony, and Anthony was like brushed it off. I think they could have had like a real moment and put a real message in for kids who are going through that now, any teenagers who are going through that now, trying to figure out what to really identify as, or what you feel, or what you're attracted to. They could have had a powerful message in that moment. And then especially for somebody like Anthony, who is a gay man, should understand how it is to come out, I guess, in that type of sense, and how to really talk to your family about that. And he just like brushed it off like she don't know what she wants. Like, tomorrow she could be a crayon, like, you know, like, just give her some time, and like, just don't like brush it off. And that, I felt like that was a little bit weird. Like, she could have had a good setup. But yeah, a lot of things was a little bit weird. Like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that wasn't really necessary with Charlotte. The only thing that really bothered me was, yes, I understand you want to make new friends, and then you have LTW as a friend, which is a black woman. But Charlotte made some points a little bit racist. Now, I already explained how Miranda had that moment with her law professor that I felt like was a racist moment. And Charlotte really took the cake on that, because now she wanted to invite LTW, or LTW's having, like, somebody's having like a dinner party. And I think it's Charlotte that was having a dinner party. And she invited LTW, and then she was like, oh my God, this is gonna be like, her and her husband are gonna be like the only black couple there. Like, we have no black friends. And then now she's like going to like her black neighbors and harassing them to come to her dinner party. Like, sis, like, as a black female, I'm gonna tell you how something works, right? Now, I'm a black female, and my school and my area is mostly other black people. And I tend to have more black friends than Asian or Caucasian. I have more black friends than, you know, any other category, right? Now, if you are Caucasian, I just feel like automatically I expect you to have more Caucasian friends, right? You want to, I guess you just hang out with people. You tend to hang out with people who you can relate to, Or just like how you just grew up. If you grew up in an area that just has more black people like I did, I have more black friends. If you grow up in an area that has more Caucasian people, you're gonna have more Caucasian friends. Like, no black person is gonna just come here like knowing that they're going to, I guess, like our Caucasian friends party and be like, oh, we're the only black people here, like we gotta go. No, like, okay, you'd be like, we don't want black people here, but I mean, it doesn't have to be anything awkward or anything bad. I'm not gonna look at you like, why don't you have other black friends? Like, are you racist? Like, like, no black person's gonna do that. So the fact that she's just looking for black people, like their accessories, to invite to this dinner party was way too much. I don't like that. I just didn't like how they played that off, to tell you the truth. It made me, as a black female, on Black History Month, it made me really uncomfortable to watch the episode. It was just cringe. I personally just wanted it to stop, And now lastly, we have Miranda, and I really hope that explains a lot. Like, she exhausted me. Like, Miranda was pretty cool, kind of. Like, she was okay. Like, I know she had her awkward interaction with the teacher, but nothing was more awkward than her interaction with Che. Che, man. So Che is a non-binary, I guess, meaning they don't identify as any like male or female, so you say they. And Che is Carrie's boss working in the podcast, and Miranda decided to smoke weed with Che and get fingered by Che in Carrie's kitchen because Carrie had hip surgery, because that's exactly what happens when you turn 50. You need to have hip surgery because we need the constant reminder that these characters are old. Right? So it was just weird. And then with the drinking, so Miranda has this drinking problem because apparently she's not happy with her life. So she drinks her sorrows away instead of communicating with their husband and telling him how she feels. The easy thing. She lets Brady sleep around with his girlfriend. They can literally hear Brady having sex with his girlfriend, and they do absolutely nothing about it. They let this girl, like, she looks like she moved in, to tell you the truth. Like, she's always there. It's like they pretty much adopted her, and they're just not doing anything about it. Miranda she doesn't like the married life with Steve. Like, she understands they're not that intimate anymore. They just sit around, talk about Brady, and watch shows together and eat snacks. Like what married people do. But she doesn't want that. Like, she wants everything to be exciting now. Like, where's this Miranda? Like, who are you? Like, who created you? You were never like that. You were always very boring. Like, when did you ever want to spice things up and make things exciting? But anywho, well, she felt like her marriage was just so Mr. and Mrs. Married. It was too boring for her. So now that she got fingered by Che, and Che talks about change and everything, I guess she likes Che. And then Miranda got so obsessed with Che. It was so weird. It was like, well, why haven't you texted me back? And now I know I'm back in school for law, but let me drop out of this internship to talk, to follow Che all around the world. And it was weird how obsessed Miranda was with Che, that she literally would destroy her marriage with Steve for somebody you just met. Like, you've been through hell and back with Steve. You gave up a hot black doctor for Steve. Made Steve break up with Debbie. You were mad at Steve for cheating because he didn't feel the intimacy with you when he tried. And now here you are cheating on Steve. And then it's like, it was just like, oh, it's nothing. Well, I cheated. Oh, well, I'm divorcing you. Like, Like, whoa, like you didn't even let Steve be mad at the situation. And the thing is that Steve is just like, you know what, this is the life I chose. I married you for a reason because I wanted this. This is what marriage is. This is what you signed up for, sis. And Steve is just the sweetest. And I hate how they wrote his character. They're just making him seem like he's old, he can't hear nothing, he's crazy, he's just a weird old man, you know. And poor Steve. Like, I saw a hashtag going around for justice for Steve, and I really feel like there should be justice for Steve because they did him so wrong. And it's like Miranda has no care in the world. Everything is about Che and Che this and Che that. She fantasizes about Che and the fingers. She's sleeping with Che for weeks while she's still married to Steve. Never told Steve a thing. It's just weird, you know? It's just weird. And then this relationship that Miranda has with the teacher, and I feel bad that they took this strong, beautiful black character, and it's just weird. Like, I never had personal relationships with my teacher like that, where I can talk about my infertility issues with the teacher, or a teacher could talk about their issues with me, their drama, their everything with their marriage and stuff with me. I never had that type of relationship, so the fact that they have it is a little strange. But I don't know if it's just because Miranda's older. Maybe she felt comfortable. I don't know, but I feel like it was weird that she's so open about her intimacy, not intimacy, but her infertility issues. And the fact that they have this beautiful character who came out so strong in like the first episode, that, you know, she has this law degree, she's teaching law, and she's a proud black woman. She loves her braids, you know, a beautiful character. But then all they can make her talk about is babies. I want to have a baby. I want to have a baby. Every time her and her husband talk about how she can't get pregnant. And then it's just like, sheesh, they don't have nothing else for her better to say. And then there was one little awkward moment. This is a little weird. Have you ever had people who drive like this? So she's driving, and then while she's driving, this is how she's talking to her husband while she's driving. Hold on. But, you know, mind you, here's the wheel. But, you know, I wanna have this baby, and I told Miranda because I don't know how to talk to you that I got my period. It's like you're looking straight at him. What about the road? And then she almost hit this white guy, of course, who has a baby. And then he keeps screaming, I have a child. I have a child. Like, you know, stuff like that. It was like, okay, we get it. We get it. And just like that, we get it, HBO. Stop. Like, everything is so repetitive. It's like, shut up. We get the point. You know, that's why I feel like a lot of things wasn't executed great. Overall, it was just wow. You know, I don't like Che. It was like with Che's character, it was just so weird how like every little event included Che. Like, they couldn't get anyone else. The comedy show, that charity benefit thing, just everything about Che was horrible. Like she's not that funny. The fact that they book her for everything, like, oh my god, Che is the greatest person ever. And then this weird relationship with Miranda, and even how, like, in the ending when they wanted Miranda to meet their family, right? So she got mom there. They got mom there. They got abuelita there, and then they got Miranda there for Che to sing a song called California Girls, to tell the world, I'm going to California. This ain't like, bye. Like, that's a weird way to express to your lover that I'm doing a pilot. I'm not going to be here for quite some time. Like, that's something that you want to talk to in private, because that's important. That affects our relationship. So the fact that it was just so insensitive to even bring things up like that. And then now Che is like, oh, I want you to come to LA. Now here goes Miranda sacrificing her whole life. It's like, okay, you know, I'm gonna go to LA with Che. Forget school, forget this internship that Naya wrote this long recommendation letter. And you know what? And I feel like with that part, they didn't even build that right, because we never heard anything about this recommendation. I would have understood if they build it up as Miranda was always talking about school, and she found out about this internship and she's trying to go hard for it and pressing Nia about it. The only thing her and Nia ever talk about is the infertilities and Che. They never talk about school. Like, they talked about school one time briefly, but if they brought up this internship and then later for it to say at the end, like, okay, you know, I'm going to LA with Che, and then Nia brings up like, well, all right, we spent this whole season talking about this internship. I went over here, I got you in, and now you're gonna like waste the opportunity. That would have been a good build up, but they didn't even mention that. So it was just like, what? She's over here like sounding so disappointed about this internship though. But it's like, who talked about an internship in the first place? So it's like, it was just everything wasn't built up right. They wasted a character. They did not need Che. They wasted Che. They wasted Nia. Her wigs look horrible. Her teeth look odd. The way she was acting was a little bit weird. Like she hasn't acted in a long time. She doesn't know. Like, she's kind of acting like with her hand gestures and how she acted like in the second movie. But it was just like, it was just weird, you know? She doesn't give a F about Steve. She just deserted her son Brady, just to follow Che all around the world. And Miranda's not, her character is not even like that. She's more logical. She doesn't just go with the flow. So it's just like, what are you doing, sis? And then she dropped school. She dropped everything to go live in LA. And then it was funny with her interaction with Carrie, because when she was explaining to Carrie how she's leaving for LA, Carrie reacted the same way Miranda acted when Carrie was trying to go to Paris with Alexander Petrovsky. And then she was like, oh, what are you gonna do? Sit there and eat croissant in Paris? And now Carrie's like, well, what you gonna do? Sit in the audience and laugh? And it was just weird that the interaction was like that. But okay. Kind of judgmental Carrie. But it was just weird with Che. It's just an annoying character how they build her them up. Even with Carrie, like, being judgmental like that, it was also weird how Carrie's she had some messed up moments in the last episode, because she asked, well, she didn't even ask them. She was like, I'm going to Paris to spread Big's ashes, right? So then she was like, well, I booked your plane ticket. Charlotte's like, all right, I'm down. I need a vacation. These kids are driving me crazy. Charlotte's like, I'm down. Miranda's like, oh, I'm down, but oh no, I can't go from Paris into LA. It's not gonna work. And then Charlotte's like, okay, I'm still down. Carrie's like, nah, I'll just go by myself. It's like she did not want to be alone with Charlotte. But then this is what took the cake for me. Honestly, like, this part really took the cake for me. This is when I was like officially done. It was on the last episode, but I was officially done with the show, right? Now, usually when you're spreading somebody's ashes, you want to spread them with care. Like, this is somebody that you love. You want to spread them with care. So I understand that they had it where she's spreading the ashes on the bridge in Paris, which was filmed in green screen. Same thing with the apartment. So little brief intermission, right? Carrie decided to move into a gorgeous ass penthouse. Well, I don't think it was a penthouse. It was a high rise. It was a high rise in Manhattan, which was very beautiful. But I heard that was in green screen. And it's like, this is filmed in New York. Like, you don't need to green screen a high rise. Like, you could go find any empty high rise and just go look at it. Like, you really, that's something so unnecessary that does not need to be green screen. But I heard it was. That's weird. Very weird. But right now, this is the size of the plane. So Carrie wants to go dump Big's ashes. And usually if you dump somebody's ashes, you have them with care, right? So let's do an example. So let's say this is somebody who is dumping a family member's ashes, somebody that they love, right? You want to just take the ashes and just, you know, with love and care, like, go on, be prosperous, let the wind take you wherever. I will love you forever. Goodbye, and have your soul lay in peace and rest. You know? No, not Carrie. This is how she dumped Big's ashes. I was so done when I saw it. She was like, I was like, what the hell is that? Like, she dumped his ashes. It was like, oh, good riddance. Like, ugh, finally. Like, damn. Like, did you really love Big, or are you still mad because they had that unnecessary episode where they brought back Natasha? And you see, like, they had just weird things. Like, what was the point of this secretary that we never saw in the original Sex and the City, who was so close to Big and who worked with Big, was there with the will and everything and so involved in the funeral? Like, that wasn't necessary. Natasha being there isn't necessary. She even said it, like, why am I here? Good question. Why are you here? Because Carrie needs to make something about herself, and she needs to find something out. Like, was he cheating? Does he have a secret life? Oh my god, I found out that he had a dog. He never told me about this. So he doesn't have to tell you everything. He could cap some stuff for his own. He has his own life too. Doesn't have to tell you everything. But then that was just something that was just so unnecessary. And then another thing that I feel like was weird with, like, was Samantha. Again, like, I feel like they had the nice scene where Samantha bought the flowers for Big's funeral, and then they could have just ended the whole Samantha thing there, to be like, okay, you know, even though we're not that close, it's not like I'm spiteful or anything towards you. But no, they keep bothering Samantha. Carrie keeps texting her, and then she was just like, oh, you know, can we talk on the phone? I miss you. I brought you up in the podcast about how you took up my diaphragm one time with your hands because it got stuck. And she was like, okay. And then Carrie's like, oh, can we talk? And then you saw, like, the dots and then it disappeared. Like, she's texting and then she was like, never mind. That letting you know that she don't want to talk to you. But no, here it's Carrie. She keeps bothering Samantha. Then when she goes to Paris, she needs to hit up Samantha and be like, hey, I'm in Paris. Can we talk? Can we, you know, like, leave her alone. If you're trying to kill off this character, stop texting her. Because what are you going to do if there's a season 2? Kim Cattrall's not coming back. She made it loud and clear. She's not coming back. Stop bothering Samantha. And then how they treated poor Stanford. So Stanford is like, we always know it, like, he's Carrie's gay friend, okay? And then Anthony is Charlotte's gay friend, right? So Anthony and Stanford gets together in the second movie, well, the first movie, and then get married in the second movie. And then now that Samantha's not there, you know, Stanford is in the picture a lot more. But then here goes Charlotte treating Stanford like, you know, you're not a part of the original 4. So you never really belong. Giving him, every time they go out to eat, giving him the part of the table where he was always getting hit by the door, and like just treating him badly. And then I don't like how they wrote him off, because so I guess, like, the original actor, he was sick during filming and he actually died in the middle of filming, and, you know, rest in peace to him. But then it's like how they wrote off his character. They should have, like, he's been a part of this show since the original. They could have had something respectful and just said, you know, Stanford got sick, you know, maybe he had cancer or something, and he passed away. And then that could have been something where now we lost another friend, and something that could have been affected Carrie, but paid tribute to the actor. But no, they had to be like, oh, he got tired of Anthony and decided to divorce Anthony and just ran away to Tokyo. Because that's what you do. If you don't know how to write up a character, make them go to a different country. Because like, he can't fly back, you know, and visit Carrie. Or he's not going to talk to Carrie on the phone and tell Carrie how Tokyo is. He's just going to desert Carrie altogether. And then told Anthony to tell Carrie, like, oh, you know, I just went on because I didn't know how to tell you. Please, Sanford would tell Carrie, like, he's not scared to say that. So the way that they wrote him off was weird. That was disrespectful. It was so weird. It made no sense, and it just wasn't executed good. I actually was really disappointed. If you're a Sex and the City fan, do not watch this because it may break your heart. I mean, some people, I don't know, some people again like it. But in my personal opinion, as a huge fan, it broke my heart because it just wasn't the way I expected it to be. And the way that they made aging, like with Miranda's horrible wig, and then they waited to the very last, at the end, like when she's going to LA in the last episode, that's when she wants to dye her hair back to red. And mind you, she looked so much better. She went from 74 to 49. Like, they just made, like, yes, you're getting grays, but, like, my gosh, it just made them all feel like aging is old. First, they gave Carrie the issues with her back, issues with her memory that they never touched on again. Just like when Miranda was trying to get up from the table while she was arguing with Charlotte, she needed help to get up from the table because her leg fell asleep and she's too old to get up from the table by herself, so they had to help her storm off. It was just like, come on. Like, even people in their 50s, like my mom's in her 60s and she doesn't even act as old as they're acting. So it was a disappointment, me personally. I would be honestly really shocked if there's a season 2. I think there might be because the way it was promoted, but if there is a season 2, please take these notes that people are saying because they have a good concept. They just dropped the ball on it. I said I wasn't gonna rant, but I feel like this video was kind of long. I'm sorry, but I had a lot of things I needed to say. I feel like I still have a lot that I need to say, but I'm gonna just leave it at that. Did you guys watch the show? What was your thoughts? Did you like it? What would you rate it? Out of 10, honestly, I would give this a 4 out of 10. It hit a solid 4 for me. What would you rate the show? Did you like it? Did you didn't like it? What parts bothered you? What parts did you like? Comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, peace out.